So my name is Dr. Bijal Sheth. I'm a talent specialist, right from talent acquisition to talent management to exit. So this is what I do. I do a lot of programs. I come from Bombay and I'm letting my panelists introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mona Abdurrahim Santo. That's diversity and inclusion itself. Lebanese, Palestinian, Turkish, German, all of it together in myself. That's inclusion. I have a psychology background and communication background that I take into corporate leadership. So my company is called Mind Your Power. And my new brand, which I want to talk about because it is inclusive, is really combining the logical, conscious tools of the mind with our subconscious behaviors and maybe even something related to what we're going to talk about today. HypnoRise is my new brand. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Captain Sushant Singh Bhatia, a former sea captain, and had a variety of experience, right from battling the worst of the storms to being beset in ice to having pirates on board my ship and so on. Moving ahead, I joined the corporate world, in various fields such as health, safety, and environment, manning, commercial operations, training, etc. I'm presently working as an assistant general manager with Fleet Management Limited, a Caravel Group company, handling Fleet Personnel Department and Process Excellence.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Awatif Yahya. I'm a Fulbright scholar with 15 years international work experience. I founded a company called All Horizons LLC, focusing on leadership skills. So this conference is perfect place for me to be. We advocate for leadership and we offer interactive leadership programs to help shift the mindset to that very productive conduct that we want all executives to embrace. I'm also writing a book on leadership, differentiating leadership from dictatorship, which is very interesting. So reach out to me if you want to hear more about that. I have been a very strong believer that without diversity, companies will struggle to gain competitive advantage. So this topic is very dear to my heart. I'm here to participate. I'm here to answer any questions and hopefully share experiences to help everyone. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matthew Byrne. I've joined you all the way from Australia today, and I'm an academic as well as an author, as well as a coach and a consultant to organizations. My book, which is Mutuality, the Future of Trust, is building better trusting environments within organizations. In Australia at the moment, we're really struggling with trust in organization and our institutions and how we can actually enhance trust. One of the things that I believe in is that the key is diversity in order to build better trust. Equity and inclusion are the two areas that we have missed in Australia, that we have not done very well, and that is why probably our trust is struggling in organizations and managers at the moment.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rohan Garg. I am a serial entrepreneur, industrialist focused on the manufacturing sector in West Africa. We are invested in two sectors, manufacturing of beverages and manufacturing of packaging. In beverages, we are known through our brand name Belvy. And in packaging, we have a company, Wapak Industries. Very glad to share our experiences leveraging diversity, equity, inclusion that has worked to our advantage as an organization.
Hello everyone, I'm Deepika Jangra, an engineering professional with rich experience in core engineering sectors, metal and mining, energy and infrastructure. I'm working as engineering director at Hatch India, a global leader in engineering solution, the organization which is known for its differentiated services and innovation. I'm certified emotional intelligence trainer and coach. and I'm really passionate about empowering women and nurturing emotional intelligence in trainers, teenagers. Today, I'm here and very happy to share my thoughts on DEI, which is shaping the future of the industry now. Thank you.
Thank you for the introductions. Before we start the session, I would like, including the panelists, I would like everyone to stand up who has been to 5 countries or more. At least visited 5 countries or more. Okay. Please sit down. You're going to be doing a lot of standing up and sitting down. I want to make sure you're not sleeping. Okay. I would like you to stand up if you have had at least 5 different type of cuisines. Okay. Lovely. Thank you. Please sit down. I would like you to stand up who are feeling a little bit sleepy. No one. Okay. I don't see any diversity here. I think we are all just the same. I want you to stand up if you are excited about tomorrow and day after. Okay, we are all the same. There is no diversity. Should we even have the panel discussion or not? Okay, thank you very much, guys. Let's just start. Okay. So, Matthew has started with his introduction. He spoke very well about his concerns about the E and the I part, not up to the mark in Australia. Matthew, would you like to elaborate on that before I move on to the next question?
Yes, thank you. I can talk to you about the Australian experience because that's where I live, that's where I work, that's the environment that I spend all of my time in. And we have done great things around diversity. We have gotten incredible statistics around diversity. And for many years, we've actually really created some quite diverse working environments. Those diverse working environments are becoming less and less diverse today. And we've peaked about 5 or 7 years ago, and now our organizations are becoming less diverse. That's because we focused most of our attention around diversity. It's measurable, it's easy to define, it is something that we can put some initiatives around. And one of the things that we are very good at in Australia is focusing around on what we are and how diversity can define what that actually looks like. What we're not so good at is actually understanding equity and inclusion. And so we have created work environments that we've invited diversity into our work environments, but we then have not created the equity and the inclusion in order to maintain that diversity. We understand that the importance around diversity is to have diversity of thinking, because as the previous panel pointed out, in the complexity that we're finding ourselves in, that diversity thinking is really important. But we haven't created that equity and inclusion around that. To me, when we are in organizations, diversity really focuses on what I am. And one of the questions we don't like to address is who I am. And I think Irene in the last panel really articulated that really well. From a succession point of view, who I am is really important. But also from a diversity, from an equity and inclusion point of view, that's important as well. When we have those conversations, we switch away from talking about what I am, and we start talking about who I am. And when we talk about who I am, it's less about my gender, my background, my color, my ethnicity, my handicaps. It's more about who I am as an individual.
That's fantastic, Matthew. You really pointed it out really well. As long as we are all able to, at the end of this, go back with the feeling that every single human being is an intellectual resource, I think we've achieved our goal. Captain Sushant, would you like to highlight what's the state in your industry?
So hello. Yeah. So I'll do the opposite. I'll stand once before I start. So before I start, I'd like to start on the lighter note. They say about 94% of the statistics are made on the spot. What I'll be discussing now will be the other 6%. So this will be exactly the data from the International Labour Organization. And the first data I would like to ask, our fellow colleagues here, how much percent of representation do you find in the IT sector for women? Can someone take a random guess? Sorry? 20? Anybody else? What do you observe in your offices, You all know a lot of people from the IT sector as well. All right. So, okay. So we have something between 20 to 40. We're pretty close. We are 28% representation of women on the IT sector, in the IT sector. If that sounds low, let's come to something further. 20% are CXOs or MDs. If that's low, let's go further. 10% are pilots and firefighters. It can get lower, just wait a second. We've got about 6% in the armed forces, armies, navies, air forces together, 6% representation of women. It can get lower. 2% are mine workers. And coming to the point, and the reason why I am 1% in the shipping sector, women who are actually out at sea and sailing. This is as per the International Maritime Organization Vista report of 2024. So all of this is ILO data and the Vista data. And what's surprising is that shipping constitutes 90% of the global trade today. Right from the chairs that we are sitting on, to the wonderful lunch that we had some time back, to the grains that we get in our homes, to the bottled water that we get today, the plastics around, everything around us, 90% of it is covered through shipping. And despite the size of the industry, having 1% representation of women is something which is a big area of concern and a major area where we can develop. So there is a report called the Global Maritime Forum report, which stated that there are 3 major barriers which are causes to this. The first being societal pressure and expectations. I think that's not just in the maritime sector, it's across the globe for all industries. Imagine running a race where different people have got different starting and finish lines. Imagine running a race where the same participants, a few of them go through hurdles, a few of them go through the flat race, and expecting each of them to, compete fairly. That's exactly the scenario when we deal with, genders. It's very, very different for both the genders performing their duties, their functions, their day-to-day routines. Second being company policies and procedures. So here there's a clear gap between policies as written and perceived and policies as executed. And the third being interpersonal relations, or what we call inclusion in the real form at the workplace. And the report also says 3 bridges to break the barriers. First and foremost being breaking leadership stereotypes. Second being breaking policy stereotypes. And the third being providing transparent support. And exactly as per the image that Dr. Bijal shared at the start, between equity and equality, there's a lot of difference between our perception of things, between what we would like to believe and between what we actually end up executing. So I'll just share a few initiatives that we as an organization at Fleet Management Limited have taken. We have got dedicated medical lockers and medical kit for women seafarers who are on board our ships, despite the representation percentages that you see. We have got specific personal protective equipment kits because we know the structure of a man's body and a woman's body is far different. So catering to that, we've got specific PPE kits for them. In addition to this, we are developing service terms and conditions which are favorable and specific for women. It's an unfortunate thing that the survey had one particular question for women leaders, that what according to you is the most valued, proposition that you would have in being a woman leader. And I think the biggest response that women gave was being valued at the workplace. And surprisingly, this was the least preferred answer by men. So it clearly implies the disparity between the expectations of the 2 genders that we have. So, I think we can start off by doing a very, very small step. Let's start using gender neutral designations. Let a chairperson become, let a chairman become a chairperson. Let us replace, mankind with humankind. Let us replace a seaman with a seafarer, because that's where we begin with the change.
Fantastic. There were some really alarming stats shared by you, which has kind of sufficiently scared us. So taking it on from here, I would like to ask a question to Avatif. what would be your benefits that you could share with all your stakeholders who are skeptical about DNI?
Thank you, Captain Prusha, for sharing those very kind of shocking statistics,
Yeah.
because we need to hear those statistics to move the needle, right? If we didn't know there's only 1%, we'd think everything is okay, but it's not okay. So thank you for sharing that and highlighting that very important statistic out there. In terms of people who are skeptical about DNI, I will give you not one, not two, but five benefits that you can support with numbers, because you know how much everyone loves data and numbers, right? The first reason why you should have DNI is because it expands your talent pool. There's so much research out there that indicates candidates, hires, people you're about to hire, will not work for a company that does not have diversity stands, okay? People naturally want to be part of an organization that is welcoming and inclusive of all. So by having a DNI stand, you are expanding your talent pool. That's one. Two, you're having a skills development. By encouraging more people to join your organization, you have all these different experiences, different backgrounds that lead into innovation. That, guess what, stops you from making mistakes, because you cannot see everything, but others can see what you cannot see. And that collectively helps the team become much, much more productive and better. Number three, business development. Say you want to expand into South America. Say you want to have a product for a specific segment, be it young females, older men, whatever it is. It would be very, very beneficial for you to have that segment working for you. If you want to expand in Mexico and you don't have anyone from that geographical region, how are you going to communicate to customers there? If you want to develop a product or a service for a particular segment, and if you don't have that segment represented in your organization, how are you going to communicate to that consumers? It's number three. Number four, customers and consumers, they're very savvy. They will do their research and they will not do business with organizations that are not diverse or that they're not aligned to their own personal values. So they're very, very intelligent. And so if you want to gain those customers and consumers, you better have diversity, not only in your walls and stuff like that, but embedded in your strategy. Number five, the last one, public opinion. It is known that organizations who are seen as diverse, they have a better reputation. They're seen as progressive organizations, which means everyone wants to do business with them. Stakeholders, shareholders, public. It's part of the corporate social responsibility as well. So those are your five reasons. You have talent pool expansion, skill development, business development, consumer acquisition, and the public opinion. And you can support data with all that.
That's fantastic, Avatif. You've almost covered it all. In fact, I wanted to ask the same question to Rohan to add to what she has, in case she has missed. I hope you have something more to add. She's covered almost everything.
Thank you, Dr. Bijal, and thank you, Avatif, for mentioning all those points. Just to build on, Avatif, what you mentioned, especially from a business owner perspective, talent is very interesting, right? And from a business owner perspective, like, we always welcome a bigger, broader talent pool. And embracing diversity helps us with that. For example, when we are hiring, we are mainly looking for performance and merit, right? So embracing diversity helps us expand that talent pool. If we are not like pigeonholed into like focusing on a particular gender or a particular nationality, many times the talent pool from which we can hire, we are looking at an increase of like 3x, 5x. Like, already, if you're not like too focused on gender, that is like a 2x increase in your potential talent pool. Secondly, problem solving. Like when I'm in a room of colleagues and we are brainstorming, looking for solutions, I would really like my team to be diverse. So different nationalities, different perspectives, genders. As a leader, you need that depth, you need that breadth of solutions, of ideas to pull from, to build upon. Embracing diversity helps with that. The third benefit that I can share is change management. So, over the years, our companies, our organizations have become more diverse. And I've noticed the difference that change management is fairly smoother, because when you have diverse cultures in your organization, guess what? The key unifying culture that ties everyone together ends up being performance. So when you are pushing for change, when you are driving initiatives, a diverse culture is actually very, very helpful.
Fantastic, Rohan. Thank you so much. I'm sure all of us have been able to get a lot of points that we can use to convince our stakeholders when we face resistance from them. My next question is to Deepika. While these are great initiatives discussed, what barriers are you anticipating or you have experienced so far?
I think a bit of discussion Dr. Captain Sushant already shared. So we all agree DEI is critical, but despite of all the positive intentions, organizations are struggling to successfully implement it. It is just because they fall into predictable pitfalls that undermines the progress. One of the most important parameter is awareness. Awareness of complete DEI scope and its framework. Still today, many leaders link diversity, DEI to one dimension only, that is gender. While gender diversity is important, but it has a broader framework. It includes beliefs, cultures, regional boundaries, and the legal legislations also. It includes everyday decisions too. If we ignore these dimensions, it is a perfect recipe for the failure. Another thing is equality versus equity, which we have already discussed. Fairness in opportunities is good, but fairness demands more than just the opportunities. It requires addressing individuals' requirement, taking care of local requirements too, giving the same set of resources to everyone. It is not going to help to those who are struggling with systemic barriers. Another parameter, though diversity, we say our diversity targets are X%, but diversity without inclusion, it has no meaning. It has no engagement. We tend to get the attrition in the organizations. So we better understand what is the framework of DEI. But even if we understand the DEI, another parameter comes is unconscious biasing. Biasing is not always conscious, it is often unconscious. Affinity biasing, hiring from the same background, same culture, same belief. Age biasing, which we discussed and which is very common in my industry, which is engineering industry. Now it is coming more again in AI era also, where we say older employees, they cannot cope up with the new technology, whereas the younger, they are not skilled in leadership skills. Then comes the gender biasing. We have a mindset, certain tasks are just for specific gender, which is not right. When I started with my engineering, I'm civil engineer by profession. With my family also, it was the same thing, civil engineering. It is not for you. Why don't you quit and go to the medical line? But now I'm pretty happy with my decisions. I got support of everyone. I'm doing perfectly fine in my profession. Then comes the, perception biasing, where we think the certain group, which is maybe the challenge, they cannot be very productive, which is again not right. Misconception of taking communication with competence or confidence with competence, that is also not right. So we need to work on these biases. Until we address these biases, whatever we do for DEI, that is not going to be successful. Then comes the leadership commitment. We all understand it comes from the leadership, but many times it is just taken as a compliant exercise, not as a business priority or business strategies. There might be many reasons for it because it is individual or organization specific. Maybe the DEI objective is not clearly communicated to everyone. Resistance to change, fear of changing the set norms, and another sometimes under budgeted policies or the promotions that also undermines the progress. Many times we link DEI as a HR initiative without any personal engagement. That is also not right. We do have very good dashboards, but sometimes we really struggle implementing DEI in our business review, progress reviews, succession plannings, KPIs, and even sometimes to compensation also. So leadership need to think on it, what best they can do for the organization and what change they can bring to the organization or to the society. Another challenge nowadays in this complex era is regional differences because we do have the global workplaces now. Regional differences, cultural differences. Different region define DEI differently. Cultural norms, maybe the hierarchical, individualist, collectivist, that define DEI differently. This is another parameter which we need to take care while implementing any of the DEI policies. We need to take care of the local requirements also. Then another silent killer is the mindset, which plays a very significant role. Leadership mindset takes DEI as an opportunity for innovation and growth, whereas fixed mindset take is just, the threat. If you go with the accountable mindset, they will link it with the strategies. But passive mindset takes it as just one-time exercise without any significant impact. Then the focus should be changing the mindset, not just implementing the policies, because mindset creates culture and culture creates outcome. So our focus should be changing the mindset. Another very important parameter which I am working on, that is the training. Training should be customized as per the requirement, as per the regional requirement, local requirements, specific industry requirements, and the organization requirement. One training program for all, it is not going to serve the purpose for different industries in the different sectors. Leadership needs strategic business trainings, whereas employees needs inclusive trainings. In trainings, we should engage more and more local requirements, examples, success stories to keep it meaningful and engaged for the participants. Training should be focused on building the culture, not just an attendance. Many times you do this exercise, okay, we have done the training, attendance is all there, but that is not adding value for us at all. That is why we are discussing DEI at this platform. It is more with the leadership to change the culture which can empower everyone to lead, succeed, and thrive. And that is the responsibility on all of us. But in today's flat connected organization, if you see every individual is the leader. Whatever role you are playing in your company, in your organization, you can bring that culture. You are not dependent on any policy trainings, anything. If you do your activity well, respect everyone on the workplace, include everyone's perceptions and the ideas, I think you are a leader. For the leader, you need not to be at the top of your organization. While doing your task at even 3 years experience, you can be a leader. That is the mindset we need to develop in our kids also, starting from the school time, colleges, and then professional. DEI is not just in the professional workspace. It is everywhere, at your home, in schools, everywhere. So it is more on us how we build our future, what value we are creating for our generations, and what we are leaving behind us.
Thank you so much, Deepika. It was really, really very, very thoughtful and thought-provoking, actually. So I have a confession to make. I'm a biggest sinner here. When I started my company 13 years ago, for first 2 years, I only hired men. I myself didn't hire because I'm a training company. I didn't want to take responsibility of 5 female trainers traveling at odd hours, their safety, who'll drop them, who'll pick them, who'll take care of them, etc. Till I learned it a hard way, and now I have a team of full women. So, and I'm doing absolutely fine. There is nothing happened. That takes me to the next question for Mona. What, how can we make leaders accountable? While she said some real good things about how it's kind of a compliance and a checklist activity, how do you think we can make leaders accountable for this?
Okay, so before I start, let me ask how many leaders are in this room? By a show of hands, who is a leader here? Okay. And again, by a show of hands, how much do you actually hold your teams and your organizations accountable for DE&I? Do you look at diversity and inclusion? Okay. Have you done trainings on diversity and inclusions? Okay, quite a bit of hands that are going up. Now, my next question is, how many of you have actually worked on real deep subconscious beliefs of yours, or have done some, I don't want to say therapy, but deep subconscious work? Okay, there are quite a few hands. Yeah. And this is where I want to go to, because the problem that we have here, or the issue of diversity and inclusion, does not happen in boardrooms. We cannot solve the problem by saying, okay, let's have a strategic meeting, not about business, but maybe a human resource strategic meeting where we say, for example, how many people do we need to employ from different countries, from different cultures, also looking at gender equality or nationalities, etc. All of this is good. This happens in the meetings. We have a quota that we have to follow. But this is all conscious. And diversity, inclusion, equity does not happen on a conscious level. We're trying to fix a subconscious issue with conscious tools. I do a lot of leadership training, and when we do trainings, people come in and they learn tools. What do we do? How do we look at people? Maybe some awareness, emotional intelligence awareness, looking at, okay, how do we identify people? How do we look at people? How do I understand people from different regions, different cultures? How do I understand myself? All of that is good. But then they say to me, for example, okay, we've done that. And one of the actions that we take is inviting people from different levels into our meetings, inviting people from different cultures into our meetings. Perfect. That's visible. We see that. But then comes the next level where we say, okay, now they are all in the meeting. But do you actually include them and allow them to talk in the meeting or to share? Maybe yes. But when they then share, and now we're going to the third level, do you actually listen to them? And listening is not only, okay, we're taking notes, but actually listen to them and look at them and have the eye contact and appreciate what they're saying. And then the fourth level is, do you actually implement what they say? Or are you just letting them talk because we have to? For me, one of the key messages is DE&I is not things that we have to do because it looks good, but things that we want to do because it's unconscious. So it's really starting with looking at yourself and working at yourself. I have founded, and it's written here, Hypno Rise, and this is exactly that gap that I saw. A lot of times in trainings, we learn the tools, we know what to do, but there is something stopping us. And that is years and years and years and years of subconscious behaviors that are trained, that we were trained into when we were small. And this is, I don't know if you've heard of something called the Pygmalion effect, but this is, how do we treat people unconsciously? And if I grew up in a culture where nationalities were not treated the same, or gender was not, even if I learn everything, I will still maybe look at people differently. And the thing is, my thoughts, the way I look at you, the way I speak to you, what I'm expecting of someone when I look at them, if I look at someone who is in my leadership team, or if I look at someone who is, and I'm not by any means putting it down, but just a lower level, right? A secretary or anyone. If I think of someone in a lower way, I will subconsciously treat them differently, even if it's just the tone of my voice. And here's what that Pygmalion effect says. When I look at you differently and I treat you subconsciously in a different way, you will respond to my thoughts. You will actually prove to me that what I expect from you is true and follow that. And that's a vicious cycle because then, you just confirmed what I thought. So for me, DEI is not writing on paper, are you female or male? Are you black or white? Are you, whatever nationality you are? But it's really, it starts in yourself, changing the mindset that you already addressed, Deepika, and that's where it starts.
Thank you so much, Mona. It was absolutely amazing of you to share what you did. Considering the time, I would request Captain Sushant to share a success story and also conclude the session. What is one takeaway? There were two different questions, but I'm looking at the time, so I would request you to do that.
So, speaking specifically, I'll start off again with the quote because it likes to, kind of generates the audience interest again. So it says, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. And today I'm smart, so I'm starting off by changing myself. This is a quote from Rumi. Rumi is also my son's name, so I, love quoting him time and again. So coming back to the point, I think charity begins at home. It's important to think first at our own personal level, at the organizational level, before proceeding towards a national level or international level. So for the success story point of view, from what we as an organization have successfully implemented at Fleet Management, first of all, DEI is a part of our Encompass sustainability strategy. Not just that, we have a newly acquired training institute called IMI, where women are offered 50% scholarships. We have, as I already mentioned, we have dedicated medical lockers for them. We have specific PPE kits for them. We have a crew welfare division called Fleet Care, which is predominantly having most of their staff being women. The reason for that being an easier connect with our lady seafarers as well. We have peer support groups. We have family support groups. We've got multiple initiatives such as a part of Vista. We are a part of All Aboard Alliance. We are diversity sponsors for Maritime CEO events. And what has been the success result has been that we've been successfully able to increase our lady seafarers intake by 20% year on year. That's one. Last year in 2024, we celebrated 2 female captains. I wouldn't want to use the word female anymore, but then just for the sake of clarity, we've had successfully 2 female captains from the organization. And not just that, at an organization level, at the government level, the government of India has started an initiative recently called Sagar Mein Samman, which translates to respect at sea. And as a result of that, in the last 1 decade, we've had a 739% increase in women in the maritime sector. Not just that, target 2030 target for the government is to have 12% representation of women in shipping in technical roles by 2030. So along with organizational initiatives, coupled with the government initiatives, we surely want to have a big splash. And the key takeaway, as a concluding line would be, when we wouldn't need such panels anymore. I think the real success of this panel would be when we wouldn't need any such panel discussions anymore, when, there wouldn't be a need to mention a lady president, a lady pilot, a lady captain, whereas just a pilot, captain, or a president would be good enough. Where we wouldn't have to celebrate women's achievements like we are doing today, and they would be as common and as appreciated as a man's achievement. So that would be the takeaway.
Fantastic. Thank you to each panelist. You really had a very interesting discussion today and open to questions.
so much. Awesome. Okay, so I am just giving an addition to what Captain Sushant said about reframing our language because it affects everything subconsciously and then it influences behavior and then the output of whatever we're working on. He mentioned such examples like instead of chairman, we say like chairperson and a host of others. And in organizations today, when you are hiring someone, we give them a long list of KPIs where we're looking at the performances they are having. So if somebody comes to their work, they run up and down, they are performing. And at the end of the day, you say, okay, you don't deserve a promotion or whatever. The person says, I've been coming, I'm clocking in 9 o'clock, clocking out 5 p.m. and all of that. But if we could change language even a bit further, instead of saying performance, and then in Brian Tracy's book, Eat the Frog, he said, key results areas. So we're looking at results and not just performance, because running around is performing. But what's the result? So I'm saying that as a reinforcement to the language aspect the captain was talking about, because language is everything, and then it helps in reframing our world actually with regards to whatever subject we are dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. Any questions? Offline? Sure. Okay.
Sorry, might be a little bit controversial question, especially from coming from a company with 70% female
Those are huge round of applause.
But as a hiring manager, I often have the issue that females are undervaluing themselves in the hiring process. So what should we do to actually educate females that they are stopping undervaluing themselves?
Can I take this one? I'm actually on. I'm going to be respectful of time, but please, I want to invite you to come to day 3 at 1:30, I believe. I'm going to be on a panelist talking about women empowerment and imposter syndrome, and we're going to cover that topic precisely in detail. One thing I will say here is that this whole framework that women need to fix themselves, it's no longer the case. A lot of women already know where they want to be. It's the overcoming the obstacles that men, women, everyone needs to be together to coexist and support one another. But please come to that panel. We're going to be addressing exactly the question that you have proposed. And thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you, everyone.